Hey guys, this is Eli with Keen Cards. So a few weeks back, as you may have seen from our YouTube page, we were actually at the Salem show. It was a great show, had some amazing pickups. We also actually had an interview with Brad Mills, the guy who runs the show. So this is the intro for that interview. Stick with us, check it out. Hey guys, this is Eli with the Keen Card Show. I am here with Brad Mills. He is the owner and the showrunner of the Salem Card Show that we're here today. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Great. Not our first time meeting, thankfully.
That's true. Yeah.
We've been around and we talked about how we finally saw each other in person, not on Facebook. So that was pretty nice when you showed up a couple shows ago.
Yes, yeah. I think this is probably my third or fourth show, and I think on the second or third is probably when I officially met you. But It's always a grand time when we come. So tell us here, what got you into the hobby as a whole?
You know, I can remember being in the Green Tree Mall in about 1993 and 92, 93. There was a big time center for the Orlando Magic.
Okay.
You know, people might remember, Shaquille, I think is his name.
Some might call him Shaq.
Shaq. So, and my dad, his buddy came up and said, they're having a card show right over here. And he's like, I remember buying 2 NBA Hoops packs trying to pull a Shaq rookie for $7. This is in 1992, 93 money. So that's pretty big.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money. $7. My dad didn't never, but he said, oh, well, that card's worth like $15. I pulled a Clarence Weatherspoon rookie. Was the best card I pulled out of there.
Wow.
But I do own like 15 of those cards now. So that's where it all started. And then really, I set up the Louisville East End Card Show when it was out of St. Matthews. And then honestly, I got really, during COVID, when everybody else was getting in on this hobby, I was already in it. So then what I did was I made myself be the person that I wanted. The biggest thing I wanted was I wanted something here in our little town of Salem. You know, we're a very small town and there wasn't anything on this side of the river. So, and we started with 10 tables, 3 vendors, my best friend, me. And you know how it goes.
I do. I remember my first show was actually last August. And I think, I was joking. We were in the small room just in the other way. And I was like, I've had this amount of tables, maybe my first show. And, ever since then, it's just grown month by month. Like I do, it's all about consistency, just staying consistent with the vendors, staying on them. You know how it goes. And
the people, the number of people that come up to you where your show's at and like my show, they thank you. It used to be such a hobby, used to be so small. And now it's so wide. Pop culture blew it up, Think about the millions of dollars that are being spent, now, unfortunately for us, we're not making those deals, but
not yet, right?
Not yet. We like those little minor transactions. That's what I love. Today I had people come in and somebody was so excited to get a Topps 54 card. He got the Jackie Robinson, which was the one card he had wanted his whole. He's like, I'm down to 2 cards in that set now. And then, some people coming in buying Ellie De La Cruz rookies, that's the spectrum that you see here. And that's what I love.
That's awesome because I kind of started the same thing, with starting mine is that, when I first got into it, which is around that COVID time, just like everybody else, I really got into it, didn't know too much about it. And then I kind of fell out around 2021, 2022. And then about 2024.
You're not the only person, don't worry.
Right. And I started getting back into it. And I fell in love, obviously, not only with the hobby, but with the people in it, because it is such a tight-knit group around here. With it, I try to highlight a lot of the local stuff because I think that's the heart of the hobby personally.
And that's how I think that's what we have. And people are like competitors, but really you're not competitors. You're kind of links in a chain of the hobby because there are guys here that'll be here every weekend. They are weekend warriors. This is what they do. And then we have some people like at your show. That's the one show they set up at. I've got guys here who this is the one show they set up at, and I'm very thankful. And I'm thankful that we have other shows that have sprung up in here and work together. Seymour's got a great show. There's shows that like yours in Louisville. There's Brad Martindale, one of my friends here, is set up. He has a great armory show. They're starting one in Spencer, Indiana. So that's what you promote the hobby so it keeps going. And you notice we prioritize kids. I know you do that too at your shows because we have to keep those because you have some of the best giveaways. I think my giveaways are good. This guy gives away some amazing stuff.
Thank you.
So, and that brings people in and they enjoy that. And that's what I like. They light up in their faces, but we also, we work with these vendors to promote them.
Absolutely.
And that's what, that's what we get. And it's at the heart of this is that we can get into the dollars, but if we remember why we do it, I still remember being Brad, that kid, when 1992, 93, opening up cards like that. I remember saving up my snack money, doesn't look like it, but to buy baseball cards and comics instead.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started mine again, it was more because I felt like there wasn't enough, close enough to me. And I joke like, I don't want to drive 2 hours to this show.
Yeah.
So how can I get more cards in front of me? I was like, I'll bring them to me. So that's kind of how I started mine. So I totally understand where you're coming from. And the vibe that I get here is kind of where I go for mine as well, is that we want to provide a good experience for everyone. That's what it's about. It's about the experience and making these memories, not only with your friends, but families. You see a lot of father and sons. And honestly, as of recent, you see a lot of mothers and daughters getting into it, which we absolutely love to see. And so, you kind of led into my second question is, so what got you started essentially with starting this show here? And how long have you been doing it?
So this is now year number 5. We had our 5th year anniversary. Misty, Studio 40 Cards, great follow on Instagram. One of my best friends is 6th grade teacher at my school. I'm a full-time assistant principal. She told me, she's like, I was talking about how we did this show, and she's like, well, why don't you do one? And that's all it took. And then the wheels started churning. Mm-hmm. And, we learned a lot in that first show. You learned a lot in your first show.
Absolutely.
We won't talk about, I broke even. That's all I'm going to say in that first show. I broke even. I made some wheels and deals. But then each show after that we did. And then we did see the lull in 2021, 2022, where we were going monthly, which I don't know how you do it. But you're in you got a bigger area. Mm-hmm. And so we peeled off, and then we said, okay, let's do 4 a year. And sometimes we do 5. We had to cancel a show because we had one planned here for New Year's Day. We were excited. Mm-hmm. We thought, New Year's Day. Well, a certain team from Bloomington was playing Alabama in the Rose Bowl. Right. And then all of a sudden, my vendors, and that's where you want to give a product, your brand. I could have had 40 tables here, but I don't know that I wanted to do that, have people drive 2 hours to do that when I'm promising 100. Mm-hmm. So that was hard, and you learn. I think that is about, I've learned more being a vendor, not only about what my people want, but through my failures.
Absolutely.
As a promoter.
Oh, yeah. You learn every show, the do's and don'ts on what works here, may not work there. And, what you think might be a good idea in person sometimes doesn't always pan out. And, I've definitely had my failures as well. And I feel like we just do our best to learn and grow on to the next show.
When you go and you talk to people, you talk to other people running the show, that's like we usually don't have a lot of time at our own shows, but we're sitting there, we'll talk, and it's like, yeah, okay, we got this problem. And there's also some texts that go around or messages like, and for the most part, 99% of it is awesome. It's that 1%. Sometimes it sucks, but we deal with it and we'll be okay. Through our failures and what didn't work well, there's a lot more that goes right in this hobby right now. And that's what's so cool. And I love the positivity that's in there. We don't have people, breaking each other down, stealing a blaster at Walmart over that now. So there is an abundance there. I think the hobby is, one thing we talk about with the hobby, I do think we got a little pop, maybe in a bubble for a little bit, but it's always going to stay. They're always the goats. We were talking about the goats. The goats are always the people that people love to buy. And there's people that'll come for the nostalgia reasons.
Of course.
There's always that. How many people came in today buy an 86 Flair? Right. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love it.
I do too. It's like that, and you love to see the people that but the case hits. We love to see them bought, but seeing that guy go up to the table with the value boxes and looking to build his set, looking for that car that he's been chasing for 15 years, whether it's $3 or whether it's $300, that's what we live for.
You can buy it on eBay, but it's so much cooler to find that there in your hand.
Amen. So with being a showrunner and your experience for the past 5 years, what do you say is like the biggest stressor you've run into?
Oh, it always had, there's a variety, day of making sure we've shown up here with no tables before. Wow. It was the week after Veterans Day. We're here at the Salem Armory, and they weren't here. We came to set up, and they couldn't believe they weren't here. And they literally went and got a Humvee and a trailer and packed them all in here and brought them back to us that day.
That's awesome.
And we had a huge thunderstorm hit us at our road venue, which was over at the fairgrounds, and we were waiting and we're like, is it going to hit us? Is it going to hit us? The thunderstorm hit us. And it was kind of scary for a couple minutes. Then you worry about that, but thankfully that, and then also sometimes you just never know. There's always something to stress about, but you don't stress about that. What you do is you just keep yourself there, and you just keep you don't let yourself get too worried about it.
My biggest stressor, and I will say I haven't shown up, and there have been no tables. So I will give you that. Obviously the big thing that we've dealt with as of recently has been the weather. You said, you had to, but with the storm, we had a snowstorm, I think it was back in January or February, that we had to push our show a week back. And, I probably had 10, 15 vendors who were like, listen, I appreciate it, but now I've got to do this show this weekend and fill in those spots. And like I do with the day of cancellations, the week of, and I tell everyone, I'm like, even if I post that we're sold out, reach out, because I promise you we might have a spot for you. Go ahead.
And that's one thing, social media is so good. And it is, I think that's one of the things that is hard being a show, because you're always open to you feel like you have to reply and stuff. Like I was answering messages last night till 11:15 the day of, and then I had to be up at 5 o'clock this morning.
Yep.
And thankfully I didn't have any messages overnight. So I was pretty thankful, that's what you do. And I've got a family, and that's a stressor there because I got a full-time job.
Absolutely.
And that's like we look at, but I have to remember this morning when I say here and those first groups of kids come in and are excited, and these people that shake your hand, that's what you do it for.
Absolutely. You just see that little kid come in and see his face light up and seeing all this cool stuff that he's, with, and especially like with their parents, again, seeing families come together for something like this is big.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we don't want to take too much of your time. I just got one more question for you. So for the first time showrunners out there who may be watching this, looking to start a show in their local town, because there's not a lot of stuff going on, what would you recommend for them to get started?
So the first thing you need to do is go and view other shows, see around you, try to find what's going on, what goes well. And if the promoter is there and they're not willing to talk to you about that, then go find another promoter.
Absolutely.
Find somebody that's for the hobby. And there are some people, I don't do this full time. It's not my job and never will be. As many times as I come across people that are very harsh to me, I've had way more people that are awesome. So I try to be a teacher of that. Like, this is what you need to do. This is what you need. One thing is find a venue that you can find an affordable venue. You can always grow. Advertising, social media is key. I think we made over 34 posts this week leading up to the show. I never, ever tell people, never, ever think about not putting up signs or newspaper, folks. People still use the newspaper. They do.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, the newspaper is a good one. And you never know what you can do. And one thing that is really big is, I think, is if you fail, keep trying. It takes that. Restaurants typically take almost a year or two to turn a profit. You may have to go through that with a show here. If you have a yard sale and it doesn't work, have one again in a couple months. See how it goes. Promote. You have to be P.T. Barnum mixed with a little bit of Gary V, mixed with a little bit of I'm trying to think of anybody big right now. Steven Spielberg, kind of, if you're good at shooting. So those are things right there. So those are all those things, but just don't give up and just try and listen.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right to lead with don't give up, because like I do, if we had gone just off our first show, we wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? All it takes is just staying on it, staying consistent, being there for your vendors when they need them, all that stuff. So
that second show, we talk about with 10 vendors. Let's go back to that. I got to bring it. I'll bring it up. So we go 10 vendors. The next one, 40 vendors and 52 tables. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Because some people want to know. They want to dip your toe in the water. People are going to, their time is money for us now, more than ever. And you got to do that. Keep your table fees at a moderate rate. You and I believe in that. Our table fees, we try to keep them so that we get people here, because we're going to work our butts off. And there's times like that. I'd much rather people spend money here at the show than me make table fees. That's me.
Amen. I've said that from day one as well. As long as I make enough to cover my venue, obviously a little on top is gravy, but as long as I make enough, I'm happy. Especially, I love to see my vendors make money, because like I do, if they're making money, they're coming back. Yeah. Well, thank you again for your time. I appreciate you so much. You want to shout out your social media?
We are on Salem Card Show on pretty well everything you can find us on. So give us a follow there. Also, personally, I'm on Brad's Autographs. Because nobody can spell my last name right, my first name right, because it's Bradley with L-Y. So I've made Brad's. So see us on there. One thing you can always do, give this guy a shout out down in Louisville. He's got a great show. I'm always doing travel ball or travel basketball. Can't ever do it. So, but hey, nobody works harder than him in the Louisville area. So I appreciate you coming today and showing us off.
Well, thank you again.
Hey, thanks again.
I appreciate you.
God bless you. Have a great day.